guys, Steve here from Blossom Racing. Got a video for you, and today we are just going to talk about installing a cam into an engine and lining up dots and kind of the whole process on how that works. So right here we're dealing with a Super Rhino 2 engine, polished, and has a 2958 gear set in it, and I am going to show you basically how to install it into your engine. So let's get a closer look here. So if you look, here's your cam gear, and there's your dot on your cam gear. Now, a lot of cam gears will have several dots. So how do you know which dot to use? Well, that's pretty simple. Your exhaust lobe, which is your very first lobe, which right here is my fingers on it, that exhaust lobe is basically pointing right at that dot. If there was a dot up here and the exhaust lobe was pointing at it, then I would want to use that dot, or so on and so forth. So basically, to get the orientation of your cam first, your dot, whether it's at 0, a -2, -4, -6, +2, +4, +6, it all depends on where that exhaust lobe is pointing onto what dot you're going to use. Okay, now let's go over to the crank gear, and as you can see, the crank gear, I marked it with a little white paint, but there's a dot right there. Now these are Blossom gears, and our gears, the 2958 gear set, this dot is in between the 12 and the 13 tooth. On the 2856 gear set, it is on the number 12 tooth, and you simply get that by, right here is your Woodruff key. You're going to count the tooth directly above it as number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So you can see I'm between the 12 and 13. So when you slide the cam into the engine, this is how it's going to look. The dots aren't going to line up right here. Okay? For some odd reason, we just thought it would be fun to put the dot there and the dot there to make it a little more complicated. So basically what you do is you slide your cam into the engine and then turn it. And as you turn it, you can see that the dots line up. So to make life a little bit easier for you, before you tear your engine apart and pull the cam out, I usually like to come in here with a little white paint marker, and I'll put a little paint mark right there on that tooth and right there on that tooth. That way when I put it together, I just line these two up, and then when I turn it, I know that these dots are going to line up. You can put a paint mark on your dots as well so that you know where they're at, just to help you. But my recommendation is, if you're ever taking an engine apart, rule number 1 is look at that cam before you pull the cam out. Check and see what dots that it lines up, because somebody will put scratch marks, 2 dots, 3 dots, 4 dots. So before you disassemble your engine, double check it and make sure that your dots are lined up, or which dots that you have to use before you completely take it apart and make your life a lot more difficult. So now we'll just get into just basically sliding it in and installing it. Lay your engine on the side, and the reason why I lay my engine on the side is so that when I take my cam out, my lifters don't fall out of the engine. So turn the crank back a little bit. The reason why you do that is because otherwise the exhaust lobe is going to hit on the counterweight of the crank. So you just turn it a little bit so that your cam will slide right out. So cam comes out just like that. Double check for a spacer on the back. A lot of times the spacer will stay there and fall down. And if you look, get up to the camera here. Here is your exhaust lobe. And if you turn it just like this, right there is your dot. Your exhaust lobe right there is pointing right at it. All right. So then really simple. Because I already pre-marked the cam, the crank gear, all I have to do, make sure your spacer's on, slide it right back in, and as you can see, my two white dots, my white marks line up. And then to verify that the dots still line up, which we all know they're going to unless I don't know how to mark, you just simply turn this, and there you go, your dot in between the 12 and 13, and your dot on your cam gear, which your exhaust lobe is aiming directly at, now line up. Now that is telling us that the cam and the crank, that the cam is installed correctly. That does not mean that my cam degree is correct, but it is installed into the engine correctly. Later on, once I have the side cover on, I will put indicators and a wheel all on this engine to actually check the center line of the cam, which will be a video possibly later on. So that there, my friends, is the basics on installing your cam into the engine. So hopefully this clears up some things. I had some questions about it. You know, somebody said that the dots didn't line up. They couldn't line the dots up, and that was simply because when they put the cam in, it wouldn't go in because the exhaust lobe was hitting on the counterweight. So they had to turn the crank a little bit, slide the cam in, and then turn it back to verify that they line up. Okay? So hopefully that eliminates any confusion that you guys may have there. And hopefully this video helps anybody out that's in need. And if you're bored and want something to do, hit the like button, like and subscribe to my channel. Every little bit helps, fires me up to do some more of these videos. All right, thanks guys. Have a good one.